First story. My new husband humiliated my daughter for being ugly and said her ex broke up because of her looks. So I demanded my entitled daughter apologize to my husband. She abandoned me and I disowned her. But my other entitled daughter went to her birthday behind my back, so I grounded her. Now she has also abandoned me. Now one daughter took my entire family. I'm 53, and I have two daughters, Chloe 19 and Hannah 17. My husband Doug is 57. He's been in Chloe's life since she was 7. And while he's not her biological father, he has always tried to be involved and supportive in his own way. Her dad and I split up when she was very young, and though she had some contact with him in her early years, it fizzled out by the time she turned 10. He didn't want the responsibility, and Doug stepped into that role as much as Chloe allowed. From the beginning, Chloe and Doug have had a complicated relationship. He's always tried, but Chloe has this wall up around him. Even when he'd tried to do little things like helping with school projects or taking her and Hannah out for ice cream, she'd either politely decline or straight up ignore him. She's always been closer to me and her grandparents. Over the years, I think she started viewing Doug more as the guy my mom married than anything else. Things got worse around 14 when Chloe really began finding herself, experimenting with her style, music, and fashion. She started shaving her head and got into very bold, alternative makeup, dramatic eyeliner wings, bright and dark shades, the works. At first, Doug didn't say much about it. He just made the occasional awkward joke like, "Are you joining a rock band?" Or, "Don't scare your teachers with those eyes." She never found it funny, and I'll admit, I didn't either, but I just told him to let her be and stop drawing attention to it. But Chloe remembered every one of those comments. She'd vent to me afterwards, saying Doug always made her feel like a joke. I tried to mediate and tell her not to take it personally, that he comes from a generation that doesn't always get modern style, and that he wasn't being cruel. She'd respond that it's not about cruelty. It's about not feeling safe being herself around someone who mocks her. The thing is, Doug isn't abusive or hateful. He just makes bad jokes sometimes. I truly don't think he means harm. It's just his awkward way of connecting. Still, I can't deny that Chloe has never really warmed up to him. That distance has grown worse over the past few years. After high school, Chloe moved out and got a small apartment with a roommate in the city. She works at a local tattoo shop reception mostly, but she's learning the art and does makeup as a side hobby. She even has a little social media following. She comes by maybe every other weekend and stays a night or two. Her relationship with Doug has been civil at best. They don't talk much when she's home, and when they do, it's stiff. But it had been peaceful for a while, no big fights in the past year. Then last month, everything imploded. It was a Saturday. Chloe came home Friday night and said she just wanted a chill weekend, sleep in, eat some decent food, and hang out with her sister. Saturday morning, I had errands to run. Grocery store, pharmacy, picking up a few things for Hannah. I was gone for about 2 hours. When I walked in the door around noon, I could hear yelling. I dropped the bags and walked into the living room, and there was Chloe, red-faced, screaming at Doug. Swearing. Telling him he was disgusting and cruel, and to keep her ex's name out of his mouth. Doug was sitting on the couch, silent, looking absolutely stunned. I immediately stepped in and told them both to calm down. Chloe didn't say a word to me, she just stormed upstairs and slammed her door. I turned to Doug and asked what happened. He looked genuinely shaken. He told me he had made a joke, and Chloe lost it. When I pressed, he hesitated, then said, "She came down without her usual makeup," and I made a comment. I didn't mean it the way it came out. Eventually, I got the full story. Chloe had come downstairs that morning, still groggy, with no makeup, a rare sight. Doug had looked at her and said, "Did you ever let your ex-boyfriend see you like that? No wonder he left." And then laughed. To be very clear, I do not think it was a good joke. It was mean-spirited and touched on something personal. Chloe dated a guy last year who broke things off abruptly, and she never really talked about it. But I know it hurt her. But still, I don't think that justifies screaming and cursing at someone in their own home. I told Doug that yeah, it wasn't the best thing to say. But I also said she was way out of line for that level of reaction. After letting things cool for an hour, I went upstairs to talk to her. I figured she wouldn't be ready to talk to Doug, but I wanted to clear the air. I told her I understood she was upset, but that screaming and cursing like that wasn't okay, and that she owed Doug an apology for the way she spoke to him, not necessarily for being upset, but for how she handled it. Chloe stared at me like I'd lost my mind. She said there was no way she was going to apologize. That he should apologize. That she was tired of years of backhanded comments, subtle digs, and jokes at her expense. She said this was the final straw, and that if he couldn't own up to it, she was done. When I told her Doug didn't mean it maliciously, that it was just a joke, in poor taste, she cut me off and said, "If you think that was a joke, then I guess I know where you stand." She packed a bag, told Hannah she'd see her later, and left. That was almost 4 weeks ago. We haven't heard a word from Chloe since. She blocked Doug and me on her phone. Didn't even respond to my texts asking if she got home safe that night. Nothing. Radio silence. The only reason we know she's okay is because she's still talking to Hannah. They've always been close. Hannah tells me Chloe's still angry, still standing firm that she did nothing wrong. She told Hannah she's not setting foot in this house until Doug apologizes sincerely and directly. Doug, for his part, has been torn. He keeps asking me if he really messed up that badly. Says he thought they'd moved past all that tension years ago. That he genuinely meant the joke as just that, a joke. He says he wouldn't have said it if he knew she'd take it like that. But he won't apologize unless he believes he actually did something wrong. And right now, he feels blindsided. Hurt, even. I told him he doesn't need to apologize. It was an offhand joke. Yes, a little dumb, maybe a little pointed. But Chloe went nuclear over a single comment. Screaming, swearing, storming out. That's not how you handle hurt feelings, especially not when you're an adult. And this isn't the first time Chloe's handled conflict this way. Last Thanksgiving, Doug complimented Hannah's dress and said something like, "You could give your sister some fashion tips." Chloe didn't say a word at the table, but left early the next morning. Later she told me she was sick of being compared. When I told her not to overthink it, she said I always take Doug's side. She ghosted us for 2 weeks that time. 2 summers ago, Doug joked about Chloe's friend, a guy who stayed the night in our guest room, asking if he was more than just a friend. Again, not the most tactful, but it wasn't a personal attack. Chloe lit into him then too, said he was intrusive, and said we were judgmental. Took off early, same pattern. I've tried talking to her about it. About not assuming the worst in people who care about her. But every time I do, she shuts down and flips the narrative. It's always about how we never supported her. How Doug never liked her. How I stood by and let it happen. I'm tired of it. I've defended her for years. Told Doug to be more sensitive. Told Chloe to cut him some slack. I'm always in the middle. But this time, I'm not going to bend just to patch things over. I raised my daughters to be strong, independent, and honest. But strength doesn't mean lashing out at people who say something you don't like. It doesn't mean cutting off family when they're imperfect. I believe in owning your behavior, and Chloe isn't doing that. She blew up, stormed out, and now wants Doug to grovel, or she's cutting us off. And honestly, I'm angry too. Not just at how she treated Doug, but at how quickly she discarded us. Like one bad joke wipes out everything, every ride we gave her, every grocery bill, every time we let her bring her weird boyfriend over and said nothing. Like none of that matters. Doug's not a perfect man, but he's tried. He stepped up when her real dad didn't. Paid for her braces. Took time off work when she had her appendectomy. He's been here, even when she iced him out. And now, we're the bad people. Hannah's caught in the middle. She wants us all to fix things. But even she says Chloe's being dramatic. Says Chloe's playing the victim and waiting for someone to chase her down and beg. I'm not doing that. I reached out. I gave space. I'm not begging my adult daughter to come home over a single bad joke she took too personally. So Reddit. Ada for expecting my daughter to apologize for screaming at my husband, her stepdad, and for refusing to pressure him to apologize for a joke, even if it landed badly. Because from where I'm sitting, this isn't about the joke. It's about years of resentment Chloe's held onto and dumped on us in one outburst. And if she's old enough to walk out, she's old enough to take responsibility for how she walked out. I won't be the one apologizing for that. Comments. Comment 1. YTA. You keep calling it a joke, but it was a low blow about her looks and her ex. That's not a joke. That's a cheap arse insult dressed up like humor. And it didn't come out of nowhere. Doug has apparently made comments like this for years, and you've waved them off as awkward. So yeah, maybe this was her final straw. You say she overreacted. I say she reacted exactly how someone finally fed up with a decade of passive digs would. You're acting like her volume is the real crime here, when Doug's been slowly eroding any trust she might have had. Honestly, if my kid told me their stepdad made them feel unsafe to be themselves, I'd listen harder instead of doubling down. And she owes us for groceries and letting her weird boyfriend visit line. Gross. You're a parent. That's part of the deal. You don't get to dangle basic decency like it's a gift. You want her to apologize, but you've taught her that her feelings don't matter unless she keeps quiet about them. No wonder she's done. Comment 2. Damn, you're missing the point hard. YTA. Imagine you roll into your childhood home to chill for the weekend, and the dude who's been side-eyeing your looks for a decade drops a "no wonder your ex left" jab when you're just trying to eat breakfast. Like, what the actual F? That wasn't a joke. That was targeted and petty. And you immediately expected her to apologize. For what? Not smiling while getting roasted first thing in the morning. Also, why are you so fixated on this "in our house" thing? Yeah, she lives on her own now, but she grew up there. That's her effing house too. She probably already feels like a guest in her own childhood space because Doug never accepted her for who she is. And now she's supposed to swallow an insult and bow on the way out. She's not cutting contact over one comment. She's done because you just showed her, once again, that keeping peace with your husband matters more than showing her basic respect. Keep that energy, she'll match it. Comment 3. Why Tia, and so is your husband? What he said wasn't just a bad joke. It was a full-on attack dressed up as humor. He humiliated her. He literally implied her ex left because she looked like SHT. That's straight-up psychological warfare, not a dad making a dumb joke. What's wrong with you both? And the scariest part, you're still defending it. You're sitting here confused about why she's gone no contact, while completely ignoring the fact that your husband has chipped away at her self-worth for years. The only difference now is she finally walked away instead of swallowing it. Honestly, I hope for your younger daughter's sake you both wake the hell up. Because if this is how you parent mocking first, then demanding an apology when your kid breaks down, don't be surprised if Hannah follows her sister out the door and doesn't look back. Update. So it's been a few more weeks, and I figured I'd post an update since clearly people had a lot to say. A lot of harsh judgment from strangers who don't know our family dynamics. But whatever. I'm not going to pretend I suddenly changed my mind. I haven't. If anything, things are clearer now. We still haven't heard from Chloe directly. Not a single word. But that's not surprising considering she's been too busy airing half-truths on Instagram and whatever other social media she uses. A friend of mine from church sent me a screenshot of one of her posts. Chloe wrote something like, "It hurts when the people who raised you taught you to hate yourself." Dramatic. Much? She never named us, but it's not hard to tell who she meant. She's turned her following into an audience for her pain, or more accurately, her version of it. I'm not going to sit here and let her turn me and Doug into villains in some online pity story. So I wrote, "There's always two sides. Maybe tell your followers what actually happened instead of hiding behind filters and sad captions. I don't regret it. If she wants to go public, I'll correct the record." But it's not just the internet drama that's gotten worse. Last week, I found out Hannah has been secretly meeting up with Chloe. She's been lying about sleepovers and study groups. I saw it in her texts. Chloe had messaged her, "Thanks for not being like mom." I was furious. Not because she talked to her sister, but because she hid it. We raised Hannah, to be honest, and I will not tolerate being lied to in my own home. I sat her down and told her if she wanted to sneak around and act like Chloe was some poor victim, maybe she should go live with her. I told her straight, you cannot ride both sides. Either you're part of this family, or you're running off to join the pity parade with your sister. Hannah cried and said I was making her choose. I told her, no, Chloe already made the choice when she walked out and cut us off. If you defend that, you're siding against us. I also reminded her that Doug has done more for her than Chloe ever did. Who's been paying for her driving lessons? Who shows up to her school concerts? Doug. And since Chloe doesn't seem interested in being part of this family, I've started clearing out her old room. It's been sitting there like a time capsule: makeup cases, notebooks, old hoodies, pictures of that ridiculous boyfriend she used to bring over. I boxed up what looked like trash and donated it. The rest, I tossed it. We need the space, and I'm not keeping clutter for someone who treats us like strangers. Hannah saw the empty shelves and lost it. Said I was erasing Chloe. No, I'm cleaning the house of dead weight. Chloe doesn't get to ghost us, trash us online, and still claim emotional real estate here. I offered to box up a few sentimental things for her to pick up she hasn't asked. So I moved on. Meanwhile, Doug and I have been taking flack from extended family too. Chloe clearly ran her mouth to my sister, because now we're being left out of family dinners and group chats. My sister texted me some sanctimonious nonsense about how Chloe felt unsafe growing up and how Doug should have never commented on her looks. I told her straight up, if you're going to take sides, don't call me when your own kids start acting out. Funny how everyone forgets Doug was the one who stayed. Chloe's bio dad vanished the moment parenting got hard. But Doug took on everything: tantrums, teenage drama, late-night ER visits. But now that Chloe has a little sob story, everyone's falling over themselves to validate her feelings. What about Doug's? What about the fact he got screamed at and thrown out of his own home emotionally, while we all tiptoe around Chloe's ego? And no, I don't plan on asking Doug to apologize. I said what I said, and I stand by it. He made a joke. That's not a crime. She screamed in his face and left. That was her choice. Actions have consequences. Hannah has been colder since I found out she was sneaking around. She barely talks at dinner now. I know she's angry, but I'm not going to coddle her into understanding Chloe's behavior. I told her clearly if she wants to follow Chloe's path, she better understand what that comes with. Doug and I have rules in this house. Loyalty is one of them. What I won't do is let this house become a guilt museum where I have to tiptoe around feelings I didn't break. If Chloe ever wants to talk like an adult, not cry on social media or send coded messages through her sister, then sure, my door's open. But I'm not begging. I'm not chasing. I'm not apologizing because someone's feelings got hurt over a bad joke. You want to be treated like an adult? Act like one. Adults talk, not scream. Adults don't cut off people and then act surprised when the door doesn't stay open forever. To those of you who said I need therapy, maybe. But not to fix me to stop being so damn patient with people who think they're owed an apology every time life isn't soft. So no, I don't regret how I handled it. Not the room, not the comment, not confronting Hannah. I'm done pretending Chloe's attitude isn't the root of all this. I raised a strong daughter, but she turned it into defiance. If she doesn't want to be part of this family, I'm not going to force her. Let her keep curating her pain for likes. We'll be just fine. Comments. Comment 1. Girl. Why Tia so hard you left the atmosphere? You basically proved every single fear your daughter ever had about you. Let's go down the list. You threw out her stuff. Not boxed. Not stored. Tossed. That's the kind of thing parents do when a kid odds or runs away. You did it out of spite. You punished Hannah for not joining your blackout campaign. She talked to her sister. Not a drug dealer. Her freaking sister. And you acted like she leaked nuclear codes. You commented on your daughter's IG like a teenager having a meltdown. You know how embarrassing it is to have your mum arguing under your posts. Even toxic influencers don't do that. You're mad she has followers who care about her feelings. Meanwhile, you came online to strangers begging for validation too. So maybe let's not pretend you're above it. And the whole loyalty is one of the rules in this house thing. No, that's something villains say in Disney movies right before they get overthrown. Chloe didn't choose drama, she chose distance. You're the one chasing drama like it's oxygen. If you don't fix your SHT, Hannah is already halfway out the door behind her. Comment 2. Holy hell, OP. You went from mildly clueless to full-on villain in one update. You didn't just double down, you escalated the hell out of everything. You publicly commented on your daughter's mental health post like some Facebook conspiracy ant trying to correct the narrative. You cleaned out her room like she died. Then you punished your still minor daughter for staying in contact with her own sister. Chloe didn't air half-truths. She wrote a vague post because she's hurting and trying to process the fallout. Meanwhile, you're in the comments section like an unhinged mom trying to win an argument with a teenager. And you really said loyalty is a rule in your house. That's cult language. You're not mad about her reaction. You're mad because she didn't submit. You're pissed she didn't let you dictate the story. YTA. And honestly, you sound relieved she left, so you finally have an excuse to punish her memory. Update. I didn't think things could get worse, but they absolutely have. And before anyone jumps in with, COP, you're the problem, save it. I'm writing this because everything has escalated to a level I didn't even think was possible. And I want to make sure people know exactly what's happening, not Chloe's dramatized, filter-heavy version. So last week, Hannah got an invitation. Not addressed to me. Not to Doug. Just to her. It was from Chloe, an invite to her 20th birthday dinner. A small, intimate thing, according to the message. The part that set me off wasn't the invite itself, but the note under it. You don't need to tell Mom. She isn't welcome. Not, can't come. Not, isn't invited. Isn't welcome. Doug wasn't mentioned at all. It was clear both of us were excluded. That was Chloe taking a deliberate shot, framing us as so toxic She needed a celebration with a no parents policy. Hannah showed me only because she was panicking about what to say. She told me she wanted to go, just for a couple of hours, but didn't want to hurt me. I said absolutely not. I told her if she went, she'd be enabling Chloe's disgusting disrespect. I said it calmly at first, but then Hannah said, "Mum, maybe Chloe needs space from you." That flipped a switch. I told her if she stepped foot at that dinner, she was choosing Chloe's delusions over her real family. I told her Chloe was manipulating her and using her as a pawn. I said she wasn't going anywhere. Well, Hannah left anyway. She packed a backpack, waited until Doug and I were asleep, and climbed out her damn window like she was escaping a hostage situation. I woke up to a text saying she was staying with Chloe for now, and that she can't keep living in a house where everything is about control. If I wanted control, I'd shut her phone off and have the police drag her back home. I didn't. I tried to reason with her. I called, texted, and even drove to the bus station, thinking maybe she was panicking and would want to come home. She didn't. She went directly to Chloe's place. And here's the cherry on top. The day after Hannah left, I got a letter. Not from a lawyer. Chloe doesn't have money for that, but drafted, under legal advisement, according to the signature line. Basically a DIY cease and desist. It told me to stop talking about her online, stop defaming her, and stop interfering in her relationship with her sister. She had the audacity to write that I am not to contact her directly, unless it's in writing and necessary. And she CC'd Hannah on the damn email, like she was some lawyer's assistant. I was livid. Doug was shaking. He said maybe we should respect it, for now, and I nearly lost it on him. Chloe has him wrapped around her finger because she finally got him feeling guilty. He keeps replaying that stupid joke, convinced it triggered everything. He even admitted he reached out to Chloe privately without telling me a week before all this. He sent her a long apology, saying he never meant to hurt her, and he understands if she needs time. He didn't tell me because he didn't want to make things worse. So now he thinks the apology wasn't enough. I think the apology was a mistake. He gave her an inch, and she took my entire family. Hannah hasn't come home since. She won't answer my calls, won't respond to my texts. She only sends a single message to Doug every couple of days. I'm okay. Nothing else. She didn't even tell me she was safe. I had to find out through him. She's staying at Chloe's apartment, in the second bedroom she used to share with Chloe's old roommate before Chloe kicked the roommate out. And yes, kicked her out. Chloe posted online about making space for family that actually supports me. So now she's painting herself as some big savior, taking in her runaway sister. You want another twist? Hannah has started dressing like Chloe. Same heavy eyeliner and makeup. I'm not saying the style is the issue, it's the intention. She's turning herself into Chloe's shadow to feel accepted. And Chloe is encouraging it, painting it as self-expression, when it's obviously about rejecting us. Doug and I had to deal with extended family calling us nonstop after Hannah vanished. My sister said maybe we pushed too hard. I hung up on her. Doug's mother said Chloe and Hannah must feel unsafe. We gave them everything, paid for everything. We parented while their bio father disappeared and their grandparents stayed miles away. And now Hannah wants to pretend Doug and I are abusive tyrants because I didn't let her go to a party that excluded us on purpose. Last night, I drove to Chloe's building. I didn't bang on the door. I didn't scream. I just waited outside, hoping I could talk to Hannah if she came out. They never opened the door. I could hear talking inside, laughing even. Someone saw me from the window, and the blinds closed immediately. I stood there for almost an hour. No one came out. When I got home, there was another email from Chloe. Please stop showing up uninvited. If this continues, further action may be taken. She's acting like I'm some stalker on the news. I'm her mother. Right now, all I want is for Hannah to come back. I don't care if she's angry. I don't care if she hates me for a while. I just want her home, safe, in her room where she belongs. Not in some apartment filled with bitterness and eyeliner fumes. I don't know how Chloe convinced her that Doug and I are monsters. But I'm not done fighting for my younger daughter. I refuse to let Chloe's hurt feelings take another child from this house. This entire thing started because Chloe didn't like a joke. Now she's alienated her sister, replaced her father, and is trying to legally muzzle me. I want my family back, and Chloe needs to stop poisoning everything she touches. And yes, I'm furious. I'm enraged. My home is falling apart because one girl refuses to accept that she overreacted. No matter what anyone says, I still don't think I'm wrong. and I want Hannah home now. Comment 1. She's trying to legally muzzle me. You mean the same way you told Hannah she wasn't allowed to speak to her sister and tried to control who gets invited to birthdays? Spare us. OP, you've turned your own children into fugitives from their childhood home, and you still don't get it. You say you want Hannah back, but not because you miss her. You want her back under control. You want her quiet, obedient, and in her room where you can monitor what she wears and who she talks to. You don't want a daughter. You want an emotional hostage. The way you're reacting to a vague social media post and a birthday invite like they're acts of war is wild. Chloe set boundaries. You responded with surveillance, guilt trips, and a full-on freakout because she dared to not want you at dinner. Your kids didn't go no contact over one joke. They left because your whole damn house is a battleground of control, shame, and ego. And now that they've escaped, you're unraveling. Take the hint. Comment 2. Lady, you are absolutely the arsehole. You tossed your kids' belongings, censored your other daughter's relationships, commented on a private post like a bitter high schooler, and now you're posting rants on Reddit like you're the victim of some coordinated takedown. Newsflash, you did this. Chloe left because she had had enough. Hannah left because you tried to force her into picking a side. And when Doug, the only one in this story, showing a shred of guilt, tried to fix things, you acted like he betrayed the crown. You're not just doubling down. You're digging a grave for your entire family dynamic. You want Hannah home now. She's not a dog that ran off. She's a teenager who realized she had more freedom and emotional safety sleeping on an air mattress at her sister's place than living under your thumb. Get off Reddit and into therapy. You're not being silenced, you're being tuned out, because no one wants to keep explaining that respect is earned, not demanded. Comment 3. I'm a mother of 3 grown kids, and I'll be blunt, if 2 of my children walked out of my house and didn't look back, I'd be in therapy that same week asking myself what the hell I did wrong. Instead, you're on here throwing tantrums because your 20-year-old doesn't want you at her birthday dinner, and your 17-year-old has finally had enough of walking on eggshells. You seem less upset about why your daughters left and more obsessed with the idea that they're disrespecting you. The hardest truth you're ignoring is this. Your kids are showing you who they feel safe with. And right now, it's not you. That's not about one joke or eyeliner or birthday invites. It's about trust, and you've burned it repeatedly. You're not the victim here. You're the common denominator. Second story. My older boyfriend made me believe he was into all my hobbies and made me move in. It's been 6 months. I've been his housemaid and nanny for his kids while paying all my salary. I'm miserable and have left now. He claims I forced him to cheat with his ex and that I should be ashamed for making him awful. Okay, so I 23F and my BF 32M have been together about 6 months. We met through a mutual friend and basically hit it off the moment we met. Great conversation, great chemistry, and he checked all my boxes for a partner. A little backstory. I met him about a year after leaving my relationship of 8 years. He had also just ended his marriage with the mother of one of his kids. He has 2. I never saw a partner having kids as a bad thing. I've always loved kids and have always admired people who step up to raise kids that aren't their own, like my stepdad, my stepgrandpa, my aunt, and my uncle. They are not blood related to me, but all played huge parts in my life and have all raised kids that aren't theirs and are amazing, loving stepparents. When we met, I was living with my grandparents at the time because I had just moved across the country after I ended things with my partner of 8 years. I'm also a part-time student, and I work part-time. Between work, school, and studying, my plate is already full. When my BF and I first got together, I'd cook and clean when I came over as a nice gesture, because I could see his hands were full working full-time and being a father to 2 kids. He has full custody of the oldest and 50-50 of the youngest. He would constantly bring up how nice it was whenever I came over. He would mention that since it's such a long drive from where I was staying with my grandparents to his house, I should just move in. I kind of laughed this off at first because we had been dating for such a short amount of time. At the time, it was only 1 to 2 months. He ended up convincing me to move in, and at the time it sounded like a good idea to me. He told me we would have more time to spend together, more time to go on hikes together. I should also mention that I'm a very active person. I go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week, hiking, horseback riding, or any physical activity that I could possibly do in my free time. When we first started talking, my BF made it sound like he was into all of those things too, talking about how he was raised on a farm and how he just never had the time. And if I moved in, with me helping around the house and with the kids, it would free up more time for us to spend together. Fast forward. I moved in, somewhat against my grandparents' wishes. They think BF is a good guy, but don't think that he's the guy for me. It's now been 6 months. I've been living here for about 4, and we haven't gone on a single hike, played a single sport, or done any physical activity aside from walking to the grocery store together. I brought up multiple times how physical activity and an active lifestyle are things that I need for my mental and physical health. Whenever this is brought up, he constantly brings up that we have no time, and that the gas money alone it would take to get to these things makes it not worth it. Mind you, whenever he does have free time, he spends it on the couch watching anime for hours at a time. Or on video games for a kid. You're not 6 to 8 hours at a time. All the while I'm left with 2 kids to look after, a house to clean, and dinner to make. Now my BF is a good guy. He's a patient father and a kind boyfriend. But I feel like he is too stuck in his ways or too comfortable with the life that he has now to consider my feelings and change. I feel like I have become some sort of replacement for his ex-wife or live-in nanny. It should also be a good time to mention, he likes to make jokes about how a woman's place is in the kitchen, and how cooking and cleaning are for women. And he only helps when we are having food that needs to be cooked on his outdoor grill, as I'm not allowed to touch it because he thinks I'll break it. I was also under the impression when I moved in that he would be paying for all of the bills, the house bills and his bills. I pay for my own bills. Being as how I make minimum wage and work 20 hours a week, I can barely afford my own bills. But lately he's been asking for me to pay $500 for rent. Mind you, this is half of my monthly income, and if I did pay it, I wouldn't be able to afford my own bills. I do love this man, and I don't want to abandon him with all of his responsibilities and raising his 2 kids on his own. I never put much thought into being a mother, and always assumed that if it happened, I would be in a loving marriage with a man that has the same outlook on life as I do. Another thing to note is not only does he not live an active lifestyle, but he also doesn't see it as important for his children to either. They sit inside all day on their phones and tablets, sometimes not moving from the couch or their bed for the entire day. It makes me sad, but since these are not my children, I have no authority to put them into sports or to take them to do any physical activity. I've noticed since moving in my mental health has significantly declined, and my physical health is going down the drain. I don't know how to go about this, how to tell him I'm not happy, how to tell him that I love him, but I am not in love with him any longer, or how to leave his 2 children that I have grown very fond of and love. I've already talked to my grandparents, and I'm welcome home anytime I please. Any advice on what I should do is more than welcome. I'm so sad and heartbroken that this wonderful, kind man isn't who I thought he was. Comments. Comment 1. OP was in a relationship from age 13-14 for 8 years. Am I doing the math right? OP. Yes. 14. Comment 2. OP, what are you still doing there? I am sorry, but if you stay longer, you will certainly regret it. Girl, he is not a good boyfriend. He is using you. And he is not joking when he says a woman's place is in the kitchen. He clearly pretended to show an interest in the things you were interested in to hook you. You don't have anything in common. Nor would any divorced man with 2 kids and a young, single woman with her whole life in front of her still. He wants a live-in maid and nanny and doesn't want to pay for it. Your grandparents were right when they said he is not the man for you. Is this the life you want to live? Because if you stay with him, nothing is going to change. He's not going to go on hikes with you. He's not going to put your wants and needs first. Get out while you can. Your leaving is not you abandoning him. It's you saving yourself from a future cleaning up after him and his kids, never being appreciated, and your wants, needs, dreams, and desires coming last. Comment 3. My lovely young woman, you have a heart of gold, but your boyfriend is using you. That is why he wanted to rush the relationship and move in together so soon. Leave now without guilt or regrets. You made yourself into a bang-maid nanny who pays him rent. Is SX with him so spectacular that you are willing to pay him for the privilege of cleaning his house and caring for his children? Let's look at this relationship. He gets 1 a maid, 2 a nanny, 3 a cook, 4 easy access to SX, 5 $500 to spend as he pleases, 6 a lot more free time for his fun activities, 7 he can say he has a super young girlfriend who is easy to manipulate, and 8 he does not have to care about your needs or interests because you have allowed it for the past 4 months. So he is betting you are so super desperate and pathetic enough to continue to allow him not to care about your needs. In this relationship, you won. Get to say you have a mature boyfriend who could not get a woman closer to his age. 2. Amazing SX. 3. OP, what other benefits do you get from this relationship? OP, you are 23. go on lots of dates, and do fun things. I swear there are better men out there who want to be active with you and care about your interests and needs. Update. I finally left him. Back in September, I made a post, and every comment said yes, so I moved out October 1st. I know a lot of people on the original post wanted an update and to know that I did it, and I'm sorry for not updating. I debated a lot on if I should or not, so here we go. I, a 23F, had a 32-year-old boyfriend who had 2 kids. I work and take college classes at the same time. The relationship quickly turned into me being the caretaker for his kids and him, while I also juggled work and school. Everyone who commented on my original post brought to my attention how he turned me into a bang nanny and how I was naive. I thank all of you for that, BTW. I left on October 1st and moved back into my grandma's house, where I have been ever since. Life has gotten so much easier for me. I'm not constantly stressed, and I don't have to worry about paying a good portion of his rent groceries anymore. He did try to get me to come back many times. Calling me, texting me, telling me how much he loves me, and how he'll never find another woman like me, and how I was his one true soulmate. I wasn't buying it. I stood firm in my choice, and life has been better. He texted me the other day, telling me he slept with an ex-fling of his. She is older and known for sleeping with anyone who looks at her. He told me how disgusting he felt after, and how he wished I didn't hurt him so much, basically telling me it was all my fault he slept with her. Long story short, my life is amazing now that he isn't in it. I've gone on 2 girls' trips and 3 solo hikes, and my smile has never been brighter. I owe it all to you, Reddit. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.